All right, class, settle in. I want to start with a question. Have you ever wondered what separates a customer interaction that's just fine from one that's truly great? Well, I'll tell you, it's not magic, it's design. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden architecture of service. We're going to deconstruct the meticulous planning that turns a simple transaction into a memorable experience.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the why, the big economic shift that makes all of this so critical. Then we'll get specific and define what a service really is, unpack the essential toolkit used to design them, see it in action with some real-world examples, and finally, look at how AI is completely rewriting the rules. We're going to build this up, piece by piece.
Okay, let's dive right in with the big picture. I really want to convince you that customer experience isn't just some trendy buzzword. It actually represents a massive, fundamental shift in our entire global economy.
I want you to genuinely take a moment and think about that. I'm not talking about a product you liked. I mean an entire experience that left you feeling valued, understood, and maybe even a little bit impressed. That feeling, that almost intangible quality, that's exactly what we're going to dissect today.
And this is why that feeling matters on a global scale. Services now account for roughly 65% of the entire world's GDP. Just let that sink in. We have officially shifted into a service-dominant economy. The main source of value isn't just in the things we make anymore, but in the carefully crafted experiences that we build around them.
So, if services are that important, what exactly are they? What makes designing a service so different and frankly so much more challenging than designing a physical product you can hold in your hand? Let's get into the specifics.
This definition right here is the absolute key. Unlike a phone, you can't hold a service. You can't put it in a box. Its value is created and consumed right there, in the moment of interaction, often at the exact same time.
Now, these four characteristics, and I would absolutely remember these, are what create this huge challenge. You can't, for example, pre-make a bunch of great conversations with a barista and just store them for a busy Saturday morning. Every single interaction is unique. You can't run quality control before it gets to the customer because the customer is actually part of the production process itself.
So how in the world do you manage something that's intangible, variable, and just vanishes the moment it's created? Well, managers and designers have a specialized toolkit. It's an expansion of the classic marketing mix, and it introduces what we call the 3 additional P's of services.
I really love how this diagram visualizes this whole concept. It shows these 3 elements as the literal building blocks of a customer's experience. You can see how every single interaction, what it calls a service episode, is a unique mix of these P's. And that mix is what directly shapes the customer's journey and their emotional response. The smiley or frowny faces on the right.
First up is people. This is the human element. The employee's skill, their attitude, their empathy. This can single-handedly make or break an experience. But here's the crucial part. People also includes other customers. Just think about how a loud, obnoxious table next to you in a restaurant can completely change your own dinner experience. They are part of the service you're receiving.
Next, we have process. This is the workflow, the nuts and bolts of how things get done. Is booking a flight a seamless, one-click thing, or is it a confusing 10-step nightmare? A truly great process feels absolutely effortless to the customer, even if it's wildly complex on the back end.
And finally, presence, which is sometimes called physical evidence. Because the service itself is intangible, we as humans desperately look for tangible clues to judge its quality. This is everything from the slick design of an app, to the cleanliness of a hotel lobby, to the crisp uniform an airline pilot wears. They are all signals that tell us we're in good hands.
Okay, so now we have our toolkit: people, process, and presence. Let's see how smart companies actually use these tools to visualize, analyze, and strategically design better experiences from the ground up.
The main weapon in their arsenal is something called the service blueprint, and I want you to think of it exactly like an architectural blueprint for a building. It is the master plan that coordinates every single moving part to make sure the final construction, in this case the experience, is exactly what was intended.
And this slide shows a blueprint in action. Now look closely. It maps the customer's journey right across the top, but the real genius is what's happening underneath. It connects every single one of those customer steps to a corresponding employee action and the specific support process that makes it all possible. Now, the most important concept on any blueprint is this line of visibility. Think of it like a stage play. Everything the audience, the customer, sees is front stage. That's the actors, the set, the lighting. But everything that has to happen backstage to make the show run smoothly, the stagehands, the lightboard, the script, is totally invisible to them. A flawless service, just like a flawless play, needs perfect coordination between that front stage and backstage.
Let's make this concrete with a real-world case study. Nissan was facing a classic problem. Their online car shopping process and their in-person dealership experience felt totally disconnected. So they used this exact blueprinting approach to transform that entire journey.
First, as you can see here, they identified the distinct journeys their customers were actually taking. Then they mapped out each one, hunting for those moments of friction and frustration. And by methodically redesigning these processes to be smoother and more connected, the results were staggering. A 40% increase in worldwide site traffic. This is proof that thoughtful service design has a massive direct impact on the bottom line.
Of course, we can't talk about modern service design without discussing the elephant in the room, technology. So how is the explosion of artificial intelligence fundamentally changing this landscape of people, process, and presence? Well, as this table lays out, AI is disrupting all three of our Ps. For people, it can augment human agents, or in some cases, replace them entirely with chatbots. For process, it can obliterate friction with instant 24/7 automation. And for presence, it can give a purely digital interaction those tangible cues we talked about, a name, a voice, an avatar, to build trust. We see this with banking chatbots from companies like ING, which make an intangible digital service feel a lot more like a real conversation. So let's tie this all together. After covering the theory, the tools, and the technology, what is the single most important idea that I want you to walk away with today? If you only remember one thing from our time together, please let it be this. Great experiences are never an accident. They are meticulously, intentionally, and thoughtfully designed. They are the direct result of deeply understanding customer needs, of obsessively minimizing friction, and of using empathy to craft every single interaction, whether that interaction is with a person or a piece of software. And I'll leave you with that question to think about. The next time you have a seamless experience ordering coffee on an app, or a surprisingly helpful chat with customer service, I want you to pause. Try to see the blueprint behind it all. Start looking for the invisible design that shapes the world all around you. Thanks for your attention.